welcome to our series of talks, A New Life. We're here in the studio with Rav Laitman and some experts. Hello, Rav Laitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Arit Dolev, a couple therapist and psychologist. Hello, Nitza, personal trainer. Hello to you all. You're joining us in a series of talks where we're actually trying to verify how we can provide practical tools, guidance for everyone, so everyone can enhance their life. Our lives are built on relationships, so the connections with people around us. Begins at home with a spouse, and then continues to the kids, the entire family unit, continues to work, neighbors, colleagues, friends, all the people around us. And we are trying to help enhance the relations between people. We believe that the bad connection between people is the root of all evil in the world. That's why we want to help everyone make better connections, better relations. And now we're at the stage where we're talking about relations between a couple. So today we want to focus on communication between people. We understand that communication between two people is the tool that helps people connect properly between them. Many times we hear that people feel that they have bad communication, will say about themselves, we're not connected well, we don't connect well, I'm not connected to him, I don't feel him. It means they make a connection between the term connection and communication. There's a connection. And I've heard you in other talks speak about a unifying force between people. So first of all, I'd like to open up this term about this unifying force between people. We're here in a problem with you, all of us together. On the one hand, you present me problems of the modern world. I said from the beginning, we can't solve them unless through education. And you're always saying, no, not education. We need advice, how to treat people that come to us. So we give them advice, and they go and they do it. This sort of treatment, I don't have any advice. I don't think me or the world, the crisis is a special crisis that we can only solve through the new man. Only through a new family, a new couple. And not through some little piece of advice that a therapist gives them and they go off and they're happy. We can't sell something. We can't sell some quick fix and succeed. And therefore, I'm here a few times where I'm meeting with you with a problem. I'm frustrated. You want something from me that does not exist. It doesn't exist. Our crisis especially is towards the need for a new man. Either we live and develop by our ego until we reach the last stage of development, the new technology, which is taking the man out of his usual place. They brought people from villages, the farmers, to the city. They broke their connection with the land, with the family. The family is dependent on work and all kinds of things. It's not closed inside itself, but it has to go out. The man has to go out. The woman has to go out to work. It was never like that. They started to break the family 200 years ago when the technological revolution started. And then there were ups and downs in economy. That first it started from they invented steam and then gas until this new wave, the fifth wave that we're in, is a wave of technology, internet, computers, etc. And it was finished about 10 years ago in 2000. And now, right now we're in an unknown situation. There has to be a huge awakening, some new discovery in technology, technique. How do we go on from here and profit? The ego is searching for something new, but there's nothing new. And there won't be. And throughout all these waves of technology, economy that developed, we broke the family unit because actually we took the family, the natural family that was living around the land through small industry where everybody worked, sandlers, tailors, and we tore it from where it was, where they were connected. People used to work at home a lot. A couple used to work together on the land. And we took them from all those places. We broke the roots, the common roots that a family must have. And at the end of the day, we broke the family. It's caused by our ego and the technological and industrial development, and also our ego, which increased. And in each family that was somehow existing at the beginning of the 21st century, in the 30, 40 years, it started breaking. From the middle of the 20th century onward, we see that it started to disintegrate because the ego finished all the work, all this work. What's happening, in my opinion, is that we are standing in front of innovation, renewal, the special renewal that is bringing us and is obligating us to change man. Otherwise, family won't come up, a new generation won't come up. And we see that even in economy and technology, all the things, we feel that there's a lack of connection. And this lack of connection is actually the problem in the family and the society, in industry, commerce, and everything around the world, among all people. If we don't find a solution, how to organize this connection, we won't get out of this crisis, this wave that's going downward more and more. We won't have anything new in technology, economy that will suddenly will be able to invent, like a computer, like internet, and to renew the industry and commerce around it, and there'll be jobs. It doesn't matter if the family's like this or like that. There's nothing. We're all stuck in front of one problem, which is a lack of connection. It's in the common market and all markets and everything. And therefore, when you want some instant advice from me for a family like this or a family like that, I'm in a situation. I don't know what to say. I only have one advice for you that I can go and succeed with, but only if there is a place to treat people the way I think they need to be treated. It won't help to give them small tips that you're trying to get from me. And I'm very sorry. I can go on and talk and listen and say smart things, and I appear to be aggressive, rude. I'm simply opening course. I'm simply opening the crisis that's happening in the society more and more and pointing to the fact that we can't correct a woman's nature, a man's nature, and that's how it is, and nothing will help. Why? Because in that I want to demonstrate that there's no choice. With our usual tools, usual advice, nothing will help. If we want, it has to be something revolutionary. Now let me hear your case. Before the case, I want to understand this revolutionary thing. Our goal is to achieve something big. And I think it's possible that we got a picture where we're bringing cases to get tips. That's not our goal. Our goal in bringing the stories is just to bring what's happening outside. So don't bring me those stories. Take all the cases with kids, with couples, with him, her, in the workplace, all the cases. And it's all going to be treated with one solution. That we have to get rid of the old person and bring into him the new person. Only in that we can go and succeed, and nothing else. In a child, in a mother, in a father, in everyone. All of humanity has to go through like a filter that all of it goes into it and cleans itself of all the old perspective and old connections and comes out in a new way. With the understanding that if it doesn't do it, then we're going towards chaos. And the crisis won't end, and the family especially, and all the sectors a person deals with. So it's important to say that the reason for this project is because we feel so much in the territory what you say. There's such a dire need. There's such a difficult situation. We absorbed it and we spoke about it, that there's truly a process that a person has to go through on a few levels. There's the environment that influences him to go through the change, and there's also the individual process that he goes through. We made a division that maybe we need to do it differently. The focus here is on the individual, and it's a question. Is there a place to do a division, 2 levels? Here we want to correct the connections, personal connections. Of course, the environment has to do, alongside that, a lot of work. We must begin from the personal individual, correct him, and we can only correct him with the correct society, with the correct environment, with a good environment, a new environment. That we must build, and that is the filter that a person has to go through and change by. After that, we can talk about building the family, education of the kids. There will be someone to speak to. But first you say a person doesn't have understanding attributes. He has no option, no conditions around him. So first of all, we must supply the general education, and afterwards it'll go down to the individual. When we're talking about education for kids, which we develop here very nicely. There's education for adults. This is what we're talking about. Education for adults is what we're talking about. It has to come together in classes, and they have to go through a change. In intelligence and education. Out of their desire? Yes, out of their desire. But their desire is either because he has no choice or because he understands that it's worth it. There's no choice. Say from the workplace where they threw him out if he doesn't pass it, because we see that without without renewing connections at work, there's problems to continue developing. And also at home, they understand that it's impossible, that we must renew themselves. And also towards kids, not education of kids, but parents towards kids. I think first of all we can develop towards mothers that are concerned, that look after the kids. And therefore we can invite them to these courses, to these meetings. And afterwards they'll know how to look at the child with new eyes and bring him a new environment, etc. There's a school in Ashdod. Can I say the name? Don't say the name. There's a school in Ashdod that I saw a program about, that they tried a completely new education method. They changed everything. Even they changed the toilet to look like a spa. It's a different smell. They learn yoga, drama, all kinds of things. There was a talk with one of the mothers that said her son is in grade 4. He learned nutrition, and he comes home and made changes in the whole home. The whole home had to change nutrition as a result of what he learned in school. This means teaching the kids. They teach actually the older ones. So it's not necessarily the older ones teaching the kids. There's something mutual here. Maybe we should start with kids. I think it's rubbish to do all those things. I say sadly and seriously that they spend millions on teaching kids nutrition and all that stuff that won't give them, it's not clear, it won't, I think it's clear to all of us, it won't bring them happiness in life, and they won't know how to connect properly with other human beings and build a home and be in a correct connection with their spouse. I don't think out of this crime or all the statistics, violence in school will be less. Maybe because of external conditions it's a little better, but are they changing the person? Yes, there's less violence. There's more social stuff. Okay, life will teach us. If I understood correctly, our goal today is to educate a new man. This new man, when he'll be new, his connections will be corrected in all his systems, right? He'll understand how to correct his corrections himself, or we're going to teach him to do it. He'll understand it out of his new education. They'll speak about it clearly, or he'll discover it himself because they'll talk to him about other things. This and that. If the new man, he understands from himself a few things, and some he is getting while learning. What he's getting while learning, will there be a unit that will deal with about dealing with his spouse, his connection as a parent, as in the workplace? There'll be a module for each part of his life? Yes. So what do we want to teach the person today? Say he's sitting in the class and he's learning about a new relation. You're a new man. Let's teach you how to build a new couple. First you have to be a new person. I'm sorry. In the framework. First, you have to format him properly. That's what I'm asking. The formatting, is it talking in general or also specifically about relationships? After general, we can talk about the new format of the family. Do you want to talk about it, the new format of the family? No. No, because there's no foundation. So let's give the foundation. That's a different story. Let's give him the foundation. He's not going to sit there for years. He's just an average Joe, but he has to change by the environment. I can't give you tips. I don't need tips. You want tips. We don't want tips. But that's what I'm hearing. But you want, with a few short sentences, what I'll tell him, and through that he will change. Educate him how to be in a part of a couple good. Not for a couple, for all connections, no. Now I need to make him a new person, and after all his connections. Is that clear or not? There's no person in front of me. I need first of all a person in front of me, and then I teach this person, this doll, wooden doll. I built him out of wood. Now I'm teaching him how he goes to school, how he goes to get married, how he goes to work, all the cases. But I built him so he understands what I mean. I teach him a bit about these things because he understands from his inner essence. What are these things? The correct relations in each and every case in his life. What you teach him at the beginning. We used to have an understanding that somebody will pay him to sit and study these things. Like the government or something, we made a project like that. There's many people, in the meantime, many people aren't getting paid to do this, nobody's sitting them down. The man's living at home in his house. I don't even know how to explain to myself, but let's say he has a desire to open an ear to us, like a cat lifts up his ear. What do you want to teach him? But he agrees to study if he understands that this study will bring benefit to his life. He has no interest in being a new man. He has an interest in cleaning up all his messy connections. First, we're going to make you a new man, and then as a result, you'll get along better in your connections. But from his place, he doesn't have that depth. He only understands that he has problems in life. These are people's problems. If we want to begin talking at the level of the individual, we have to go to where he is and not rely on the fact that somebody gave a check for him to sit and study. A person coming to a psychologist and to get advice. The psychologist gives advice in changing behavior, usually. The man with his environment. But a person has to change. He has to understand the advice, how he behaves now, and how he has to change his behavior. The same thing here. It's the same. We have to give him not one simple tip, do this and this, that you have someone you hate that you want to get along with. No. We're teaching him here how in general to change his relation to himself, to life, to the world. So it's not one little tip, but changing his philosophy in life, his general perspective in life. That's why it's called education. Up till now it was very interesting. It's the same thing, like a psychologist that goes for an hour, that you go for an hour or two. Here we're talking about an hour or two over a long time. And apart from that, because it's changing a person in general, we have to build an environment to help him change, that will give him an example, that will help him see where he's correct and not correct, how he has to think, how he has to relate to things, to react to things in a new way, to change his behavior, his perspective. All these things. He has to understand that what's around him belongs to him, that the world is closer to him than he thought, and not against him. as a alienated place, a place where he has to succeed and control. We have to change these things. It's impossible to provide it through verbal advice. There's an explanation and practice, explanation and example. And all the time you have to change it. Just like giving kids examples all the time. You have to give a kid 1,000 lectures and talks and tips. Nothing will help. You have to show him how you do it. He looks at you and that's exactly what he'll do. Words he doesn't understand. He sees what happens among the older people. That's what he wants to do also. It's a nature of monkeys, lives in us. This habit, this inclination, we can't do anything with it. We have to take this into account. Education is only through example, and that's why we need an environment. A person who comes into a group, and if he doesn't come, then he doesn't come. It's like today. If he doesn't come to a psychologist or psychiatrist, then he doesn't. Maybe the landlord is forcing him. The boss wants better relations between the employees because he understands he can profit more, he can achieve better results. Or maybe his spouse is forcing him, or they're coming together. So I see there's two elements in the process. There's 1 or 2 hours a week, not a week. I'm talking about a course. If it's unemployed people, it's every day. No, not unemployed people. That's a previous project. We gave them everything. There's lots of people that aren't unemployed. They're living in their world. Let's say couples that have problems. I'm not even looking at them like that. I'm looking at one person that has problems in life, his connections in people. Through all kinds of TV programs, etc. He can get examples how to succeed through this course. Sell him our course. Okay. Let's say he doesn't want to buy the course. So there's nothing you can do. Of course, there's stuff we can do. Maybe we can give him a product to have at home without leaving home. Most of the population is passive. It's possible that you can. I'm not sure. Let's say he knows what. You're in my living room. Talk to me about life. I want you to come to my living room once for an hour every day. It's possible. You have to think about some wise way that he'll feel that he's in an environment. He has to feel from the TV screen. We have to bring him into our living room, not to be in his living room. We have to bring him into the group. We have to bring him into our activities. We have to influence him emotionally. It's very difficult to do that through the TV screen, where he's sitting there in his slippers and a beer and a coffee. And every second he has a phone call or something, a conversation, interruptions. I don't think anything will come of it. Can I say something about this? In my expertise, I know lots of people read books, and as a result, they understood how much they didn't understand, and they went to study. So many times, the trigger that brings a person out of the place where he is that place of a book or a show that suddenly switches something on, and they say, hey, there's something here. Now I get it. I was so busy with my pain and my problems that I wasn't able to think of another option. And by reading the book or watching the show, it opened for me. It created in me a genuine need to go through a process, and now I'm more ready. So maybe it's steps. I agree. I'm not a salesperson. Correct. I'm far from operating that way and connecting with people that way. But of course, there's many channels to the general public. I'm talking about from the moment he comes into a course, and there we can influence him. So you're saying that if we develop throughout time to be very egoistic and everyone's only concerned with themselves, and we're less considerate of society and the people next to us, maybe this egoism or this badness has become our second nature. No, it's our first nature, the foundation. The ego is our nature. So it means that through what we teach in these courses, we'll be able to change the first nature and transform it. We'll know how to use it properly, the first nature. And that's called second nature. I have a question. Second nature, truly, if we acquire the attribute of bestowal. But I'm talking to provide a person, the end of the day, a course should give tips, but bring a person to a state where he understands them and he can use them. Because without education, he won't be able to implement the things he learned. So we're talking about practice, and you say I'm talking about from the moment he comes into the course, okay? A course has to be people sitting in classes or virtual. You're going to fill classes with people, but people are waiting, and the classroom's only for like 30 people. Nowadays we have, we don't have 7 billion people. We have 7 billion people at home. 7 billion people aren't running to have a course. Why not? Because they're still in a state where they don't understand that they need to not change the world to get out of all these crises and all these pains. They need to change man, his behavior. Do I expect them to get it to it by themselves, or to lead them there? To lead them in a virtual way. But to truly teach them how to change, I'm not sure we can do it virtually. If we can, then it has to be supported by the media and schools and all the places where people are in touch with the education system. So we'll be able to reach them there. And those that aren't, then through the TV screen. So let's say we're on the TV screen, for those that can't. And let's say they would agree to listen. Let's say they would agree to listen to us. What do we want to talk to them about? We need to talk to them about man's nature, but in a very attractive way, with psychologists, in all kinds of people that will explain in a pleasant way, attractive way, full of examples, where we explain man's nature, how we behave, provide examples from all kinds of cases of kids, adults, young couples, etc., men, women, at home, in the family, where there's betrayal, where friends are getting together, to show a person his nature, to explain to a person how he decides to do at each moment, how he chooses each time, consciously and subconsciously, the most pleasant things that appear most pleasant to him. Is he taking into consideration others or his future or his past? How much is his ego controlling here and not allowing us to be independent and decide in a healthy manner, in decisive manner? How can we rise above controlling our desire to receive when each person is a desire to receive? He has a desire for knowledge and sex and food. How they enjoy these things, but in a way they can enjoy those things, but in a way that they won't pay a high price for it. All of them together. These things you have to explain. You can't leave a person. Who's going to explain it to people? All the experts that can talk about it easily. Apart from football, it looks like you don't watch anything on TV. I watch National Geographic. People have been watching National Geographic for millions of... I'm saying there's people... I'm sorry, what did we start the last sentence with? There's people that know how to explain easily, that they're experts. They know how to explain in an attractive manner their subject. So if a psychologist speaks in an attractive way, or in a doctor, and a teacher, and a policeman, and someone else, we just need to explain to a person who he is, through what urges he exists, how his decisions are made, how he's impressed by things, how he perceives the world. He has to live in it. He has to begin understanding himself. We have to give him what nobody ever gave him in nursery school or school. Or you want to give it to him, or you want somebody else give it to him? No, it's an art course, but not just me. It's a team. Okay, of course a team. The team will be part of the package. So I'm saying something simple. Up until today, everything you said now that you have to teach me to know myself, to enjoy things in a way that I won't lose out. If, for example, I would meet you in my living room and you spoke about it in a really interesting way, even though it was a bit philosophical, but there were interesting, like to enjoy things in a way that I won't lose out, to understand myself and how I behave in my relationships. That's my life. If you would really come into my living room and sit with me and teach this to me, and it was interesting, I might invite you to come tomorrow, but in the meantime, what we're explaining is not at that level. Until today, we knew how to explain the world and evolution and history and global and integral, and nobody brought you into the living room because they're not living it. They don't have thoughts like that. The question is, if we leave people on their own, or we're agreeing to meet them in the living room. People today, if you have something to say, there's people that will listen. We see it in abundance. In every event, people are thirsty, but they need to hear something. They need to hear smart things, something that they can absorb, that they can digest. I know that we don't have it. We only have people that are suffering more and more each day, and we have what to give them, but we haven't met them in their living room. We met them on our board. That we explain the world is global, and that's why you have to change and be a new man. But it's not. But it's going 1,000 meters over. It's only going for very special people. But there's the 99%. There's not just. I understand what you're saying, your claim, and you're right. But that's what I'm capable. I'm personally. I understand what you're saying, and I don't think I am capable of changing, and I don't think I have lots of time left for changes. And it's a problem. I agree with what you're saying. It looks like a very big problem, and I hope that some of my students will succeed to go down closer to people and know how to explain these things to them simply. I don't see that I'm capable, as much as I attempt and try to go down to the level of my students. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for me. And I understand that all the other people before me wanted to do it and succeeded until a certain level and not lower. But it was different times. Now people are ready. Just talk, just broadcast what they want to hear. Yes, but apparently it has to be someone new. I don't believe that. I try, in the meantime, to provide what I can in the way that I can. That's the truth. It's hard for me to dress in a person that is completely blocked. He's not blocked. He goes to listen to all your rubbish to listen. He's sensitive. He's smart. He's a modern person. He's not an idiot. We think he's an idiot, but he's not. A modern person, what you're saying, he goes to get advice. Maybe he goes, maybe he doesn't, maybe he reads books. There's a huge distance between something that appears modern in your words, in your terms, between what I'm saying. Because modern for you is that he understands, maybe that he understands all kinds of tricks that they told him in school, techniques, technology, science even, all kinds of things. But it does not help him to be more sensitive to change, his inner changes. Here, I have to be a special expert. I think that first of all, even without words, to bring him straight into all kinds of activities. He's not coming to anything. He's sitting at home in his living room with another 6 million, but I have nothing to give him. I see you have an abundance to give him. Every time you talk about the world of the individual, that you dress in one person, everything you say are things that people will drink like water. So take it and give it to them. Okay, I'm trying to give it to them, but I don't have enough to provide them with yet. I'm just saying that you're saying I don't have what to give them. I see that when you talk about how a person feels, how a person thinks, people look at you like a magnet. Doesn't matter which country, which language. Why? Because they don't hear anything? No, because they hear something new. Yes, does it grab their heart? Yes. Do they understand you with their mind? Yes. I don't feel that I myself, I'm not sure that I'm capable of building a method for the regular average Joe person. So who's going to? I have students. I'm telling you seriously. What do you want from me, Oren? I want you to meet a person in his living room. He agrees to meet you. Talk to him. It's not talking. I have to bring him inner changes. These inner changes I can only bring through acts. Acts with him that he'll feel, not words. In words, I can't give him more than a few words that he'll barely understand and also doesn't understand. It's impossible in an explanation to convey these things. Just like he didn't understand 200 years ago what's happening now in his life because he had to go through an emotional experience. A person has a will to receive. He only understands from emotion, and his brain comes after. If I put him into like a certain activity, exercise, and he's like, oh, ooh, ah. He goes through all kinds of feelings, and afterwards I can explain to him why you went through, how did you feel, where did you feel it from. There'll be something to explain because he's gone through an experience. Our education is based on experience. We have a problem. I don't want to say that I'm waiting until that he's not going to sit at home. You're building on it that he'll come to you. Yes, I'm building on it. I'm building on it. And I think they'll come. They're coming. They're coming now. They'll come to our groups, our courses. They're coming, but many aren't coming. Can I suggest an idea? You're going in the direction of our last talks. Give us advice. Give me something face to face. He has a beer and a cigarette. He's sitting and listening. From that, he'll have a new life. It won't help. There's no such thing. That's not what I'm looking for. I want him to have a private teacher. There's a teacher in class for 30 people. There's a private teacher. I bring a teacher home. Build a new person. You said that's our profession. Build a new person, and then we'll format him, and he'll get along in every aspect of his life. Be a private teacher. We have students. I have students that are far away. And they learn through screens. But they want to learn. They're with a group that you see on the screen with their heart and soul with us. They want to merge with us. They drink the words that I say. He's more in the group than someone who's there physically. That's something else. Those are Kabbalah students. Doesn't matter Kabbalah or bestowal. It doesn't matter what he's studying. Let him learn technique. Doesn't matter. I sometimes see shows on TV. Again, those science shows. Or on my computer, on the internet, that I take out, where I'm immersed in them. I have 1,000 questions. I really go through an experience. I'm like sweating. If he has a desire, this person at home, so through a long explanation, how to join the society, how to merge, how to build it, then all kinds of theaters for him and systems. They'll grab him and bring him into the TV screen. That is possible. They'll bring him in, not into the TV screen. Not just me talking to him, blah, 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 from this TV screen. By the way, all the students you have today learned through the TV screen. They had special preparation on their own. You said they need to have a desire. Great. So they have a desire. Your Kabbalah students, they have a desire to develop. Great. And even though they don't understand anything, they continue. So what are the 7 billion? What kind of desire do they have? They want to live well. Because their life is not good. Where is their life not good? Where life is. In these systems, at home, at work, etc. So they have a desire to live well. You're a teacher that has to teach them how to live well? Yes, I'm a teacher for the good life. So say one person invited you to give him a private lesson in his living room. I come to his living room. Let's say you agreed to. So I bring 10 people with me. It's a bit of a situation. That's my tool. to change a person. I don't have anything else. I understand you have two paths that you operate on. One is an environment, the 10 people you wanted to bring with you, 9 people. He's the 10th person. And you'll talk, right? That's something else. The talking isn't important. What do you mean it's not important? The talking will be an explanation for the things that we'll do, the exercises. It's a problem. It's because you created an imaginary situation. Nobody will invite you and 10 people into their living room. So what are the 7 billion going to do? We're waiting for them in our classroom, 9 of us, and we're waiting for the 10th person to join us. So we can conclude on this optimistic note. You're taking from me my only tool that I have. So what do you want me to answer? You can't operate. You're building on them being active. You can operate it from the TV screen that will build all kinds of shows that will be for him a demonstration, emotional demonstration to such an extent that it's almost as if he's participating. That's possible. But we still need to glue him to the screen. My students are glued because they have a point in the heart. Maybe we have to do dissemination through the media. Here we need a special expert. We need to bring someone. What do you want me to do? Their desire to receive is not in my hands that I can awaken them. I'm not handing out to each of them with a stick drugs and giving each a spark in the heart. We're talking about regular things. And to reach the 7 billion on TV screens, that's also a dream. It's not realistic. Who will allow you to do that? In the meantime, they're not interested in what we're talking about. That's the problem. We're talking about high things, and they're not high. They're simple people. They're not correcting the world like us. I think that if we give our power, and we're building ourselves toward that, we're acquiring experience, getting impressions from what we're doing, feedback. We're building ourselves, first of all, as educators. And afterward, I think, in another half year, I don't know how long it will take, we will be able to build such TV shows, truly, in our studio, in this studio that we're in. There'll be such TV shows that a person, almost in his desire, even if he doesn't have problems in life, he will want to watch it because he'll see interesting situations. It'll be like a thriller, like a series, and also psychological, in a way that he'll see himself and others, like he sees in all the serials. We'll be able to build. It's a problem with budgets, how to turn things around. Well, but actually that's what we have to do. Psychological serials from life. And not something imaginary where everyone's playing like plastic. But to grab a person in his heart, in his stomach, and all kinds of problems that are truly from his life. You need to add to it more advertising in the media, articles, in newspapers, radio talks, celebrities, experts. We need to bring nice results from school, from some families. But altogether, we have no choice. We have to build these sketches. So you're talking about a package, education package for kit for adults, where we're inviting them to come see what we have to offer them. Then we're talking about nature, man's nature. Afterwards, we have what to give them. But first, the first thing to bring them in is that they want this program. Without saying this word program, we show them this serial. It has to be so appealing that they'll be glued to the TV, because it'll really be like from their life, like about me or my neighbor. And there will be all kinds of cases where I'm with the kids, with the wife, at work, with my friend, all kinds of problems, with the car, with the garbage, everything. But things that are very much from life, not like in the cinema. And from life in a way that I see that it's really like that it's really happening. And here suddenly I see a special trick, how they're turning it around, how I'm getting an explanation why he did this and she did that, why we can change it. And in a very simple manner, we only need to change the way we relate to things. We need experts. It's psychology and movie people, theater people. Here we have work to bring a person the current life analysis, why he does what he does, the new life with analysis, and how we make the transition from the current life to the new life. In what ways can it be done with the family, with the kids, etc., and the great result that we achieve. I understand that that's what we have to do. I don't have the strength to do it. I don't have the expertise. I'm not an actor. I don't have the means to build such things. I don't have people that know and are ready with the script and to implement it. All these things have to be built. But if we're talking about the attitude through the TV screen, then that's how it has to be. Okay, I think we spoke of this many times, but the problem is really implementing it. How, through what a person sees, what he sees, and then he identifies with it, then he has to start practicing it. Even just participating, we're talking about the first phase. He's participating in it all the time, and then that serial is being changed all the time because he's participating emotionally. So, like we behave today, for 20 or 30 years we saw behavior, so that's how I behave. I take a cup like this because that's what I saw. I sit like that because that's how I saw people sit. I talk like this because that's how I heard people talk. It's all according to examples. Psychology agrees with that? Yes. Even not according to psychology. So the same, we have to give him new examples from the new life. Why will he want them? Because he will see, according to the scenes that we're building in front of him, that he's profiting from it. That will bring him to the wonderful new life. You spoke before about the experience that he goes through, like in cinema. We go through the experience with our heroes. But it's an emotional experience, but it's not practical. It's emotional because it's very close to his life. It's not like some Honolulu, something happening or something, and it's just interesting. But rather, it attracts me because it's things that I see that are happening around me, and I suddenly begin to see the internal part of things. Why she did this and why he did that. What are they thinking? What are their impulses? What's motivating them? Why do I call it a psychology serial? Because we have to open a person's tummy, his brain, and begin explaining to him what's happening. What's happening behind this picture, behind these acts? What kind of calculations? What kind of connections? What motivates us? What are the inner urges turning us around? How much am I consciously working with them? How much are they subconsciously working on me? All these things have to be conveyed in a way that they'll be attractive, understood to this simple man. It's possible to do it. It's very exciting. It's sort of an X-ray where I'm showing external acts, and after that, on the other screen, what the hand turning them around, the nature, and that's how they behave, and what comes out of it. And we can take this hand that's turning us, we need to change it. There's a huge challenge here. I don't feel I have the strength or ability and to put it all into scripts and the correct order and to write. I don't have strength for it. If there's a few experts, I think I would be able to do it. This is the only influence on the wide audience. Otherwise, like Oren says, there's 7 billion people. What are you going to do with them? We have kids. We have 1 billion kids going to school in the whole world. We need to open those schools only in the evenings. Kids learn to a certain hour, and in the evening they come. Another 1 billion people to study. Let's say. There's no way around it. Now we're in a situation where the whole middle class and all those people won't have work. There'll be a law that you get a scholarship or unemployment on the condition that you come to these courses. These are courses for the new life. But for that you need a law. Yes. The government needs to understand that through this, a person becomes calmer, understands, feels, doesn't go breaking windows, doesn't cause revolution, doesn't drugs, alcohol. He becomes a citizen and knows how to fill himself. Even if he doesn't have work, it's worth a lot of money. That's it. The question is if the government wants to. The government wants that we'll all be heard. So it's possible. They'll understand that it's for their best. The path is that we have to build it. But tips I don't have. There's no instant here. If we take all the things you said in the previous talks, we have material but not enough. It's just giving them something, a pacifier. It won't really change anything. If a person doesn't change something in himself, 2 or 3 people that change. We're not creating a new correct relationship. Do you have other questions? I think we were concerned about the format of this program, and we chose cases not because we wanted to bring them to have like personal stories where you become their advisor. The goal was to describe a phenomenon and explain it at that level. And it's possible that somehow it didn't work. It's possible. The truth is that today we already made a change. So we're starting a program. Let's go. So we are completing this current discussion, and we invite you to join us in the next one. Come, it'll be interesting for sure. Until then, bye-bye.